Jenn and Sam M jump off a building. Sam N enters his boss bitch era. And Jenn's ex-boyfriend Matt has joined the cast. It's week 4 on season 21 of The Bachelorette, and you are watching Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Recap. We're dissecting and discussing Jenn Tran's rose petal journey to finding ferocious love. It's shot o'clock, so let's get this party started.
Shot o'clock! Let's get it!
I am Liz Donatelli.
And I'm Tiffany Current.
Be sure to subscribe to Reader Seeks Romance Channel so that you don't miss weekly episodes of Romance Recap only on YouTube. I'm going to jump right in. What was the most unhinged part of week 4?
Well, first of all, can I just say, instead of calling it shot o'clock, let's call it not o'clock, because this is just not working for me anymore. I just had to say it. The most unhinged part was this random boyfriend who appears at the end, who honestly looked like, and I wrote it down, had no idea he was being on a show. He's like, where am I? What am I doing here? And I was like, did they just find this actor? This show has just lost its way.
I just kept looking at him. I said, why does he look so familiar? You know who he resembles? Casey Affleck.
Oh, stop it. I can kind of see that. That's so funny. I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I had so many questions. Honestly, at one point, I was wondering if they really had ever dated, because the way Jenn kept looking at him was like, my mind is so blown. Like, why would you be here?
Yes.
So we could get into it later, but I have a ton of questions, and I don't feel like any of the timelines match up. Because didn't he just get out of taping Bachelor with Joey? So was she still involved with this guy at some point? Like, I don't know.
Let's save that, but I agree.
Okay.
It was a totally random moment, but let's hop into the show.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they were going to New Zealand. I think I missed that. I'm like, they're going to New Zealand. I was like, they were just in Australia, but okay. That's surprising to me.
I was surprised too. Now, you know more about world geography than I do. Is that just a quick plane trip from Australia to New Zealand?
They made it seem like it was a boat ride. I mean, they're very close to each other. Usually when you go to Australia, you go to New Zealand, you tack on the trip there. So I think they're very close, but it was funny. I was like, New Zealand. I was like, all right, sure. I guess they're done with the kangaroos.
I had a kangaroo testicle in my mouth.
What I thought was interesting, they started off the show with Jenn and Jesse eating food together. Just eating food together, chatting.
The joy that I felt watching the two of them interact. I love Jesse so much. And before you go on, because I have to mention the sexiest, most romantic thing done this whole season happened during Jesse and Jenn's dinner. Do you know what it was? Okay.
What was it?
The camera even focused on it. Now, I know there's no romantic feelings between them. He's married, happily married. He served her food first.
Oh, that's very sweet. I missed that.
Oh my God.
Very sweet.
And the camera showed it twice where and then he said, oh, here's a knife. Like, he was totally taking care of her. And I feel like he is a true gentleman. And I was like, this is so romantic. I love this. I thought it was very sexy.
It was nice seeing him. He looked, at this point, he's used to it. He's fully into that time zone. He looks great. He was just enjoying eating food. And I was like, I could just watch them date. Like, let's watch them date this season, right? Let's do that.
Yeah, I kind of want to go into the archives of Bachelor and find his season. Do you know what season he was?
I don't, but apparently we'll see him eating a lot, according to what he said. We'll be seeing lots of eating, which I think you would enjoy.
Yes, I thought that was the most charming story, that they don't have anybody eat. I mean, I figured that out. Like, I know that when they have these dates, these one-on-one dates, and they look like it's set up for dinner and they don't eat, I always figure, oh, it's because it's going to get, in the mics, it's going to get people's food. So yeah, it didn't surprise me that he said that they stopped doing the dinners where they ate because he would just be chomping all the time.
Have you ever wondered why you're not supposed to eat whenever you're on a one-on-one date?
Like, eating is not attractive? I don't know.
You want to know why?
Why? Is it your fault?
On my season.
What did you do,
On my
Justin?
season. I was scarfing the food down on every single day, trying to have this serious hardcore conversation. I'm just literally talking through the food.
Great people.
I'm really bad at arguing. And I think after that, they had to stop doing it. So I essentially ruined it for
Oh,
everybody.
that is so funny.
I don't mind a chompy eater.
I didn't mind it. I will say we go from then to seeing the guys see their new digs. They're very excited. They're in New Zealand. They have this great view.
Yeah.
And we finally see, I think at some point they cut to, I think they're outside maybe. We
Yeah.
finally get a one-on-one date between Jenn and Sam. First time. I was very surprised that it happened.
How many episodes are we away from hometowns? Is that maybe why? Is that like episode 8 or something
I
like
don't-
that?
I don't know with the way
Oh.
this season is going. I don't know what's gonna happen
Yeah.
anymore.
Because I figured
But-
she would pick him a little bit closer to hometowns to do the one-on-one.
My opinion of him, I have been a great defender of Sam
Oh no, I know it's
throughout
coming.
this. But when I saw the date, you don't know, I was like, my opinion of him changed.
Wait, what?
It did. My opinion of him was like, you got to run away from this one, girl. You got to run. When they were, whatever, eating lunch, dinner, pretending like they were going to
Yeah.
eat, you see the little skydivers jump out the building and they're like, do you want to do it? And she said no.
Yeah.
And then he spoke for her. He
Yeah.
spoke for her and said, yes, we're going to do it. I was like, no. Because I'm sure all of us as women have been in
Oh.
situations where someone spoke for us. And
Yeah.
I think that to me is a deal breaker. Huge deal breaker to me.
I thought you were going to go in the other direction with that because you're
No.
on team Sam M. I thought you were going to
No.
say that he was just trying to help her conquer her fears. I thought you were going to say
No.
that you really still liked him. So the question
No.
is, are you now on team Devin or you're on a
Okay,
different
no,
team?
I don't like,
Okay.
no, I will never be on Team Devin. But I will
Okay.
say, like, when I saw this happen, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He said right away she was pissed off. She expressed it, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's rude. I don't like that at all, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Then when they go
Yeah.
upstairs and she's terrified, and he's just
Yeah.
like, oh, but you're gonna look back on this, you're gonna remember this. And he's just being so pushy about it.
I really don't like you. That's so good. Welcome to the Skywalk. You guys are currently about 630 feet above the ground right now. I hate this. I hate it. I hate every second of this. I would rather be anywhere else in the world right now but here. I am literally terrified, and Sam's not reading my emotions at all. I'm absolutely petrified. Every single part of my body is telling me not to do this. I really do feel like I'm up here all by myself.
I was like, you need to run from this guy. He will just trample over whatever you want and need. It was not cool.
What I don't like is that he laughs like an adolescent all the time, like laughing off her discomfort. He just laughs it off like everything's a big joke. So then she started to get teary-eyed, and then eventually he's
Yes.
like, okay, I guess I gotta stop. He's like, okay, you don't have to do it. He hugs her, and then she's like, oh, he came through for me in the end, and now
I
because I have his
know.
support, now I'll jump. I'm like, really? That was all it took?
know.
I think when you feel safe and comfortable with your partner, anything can be possible. And sometimes in life, you just have to take a leap of faith. 3, 2, 1. Go, Jen! I jumped off of a building today!
I was like, when I heard that, I was like, somebody did a number on you. If
Mhm.
you feel like after pleading and crying and whatever, that after all that, they said,
Yeah.
okay, don't do it, that it was like, he was fantastic. He was like, no, dude, compare him to Marcus in a plane.
I absolutely do not want to be jumping out of this plane. I am terrified.
Jen, we got this, okay?
We got it.
We're gonna be okay.
Totally different vibe. Like she
Yeah.
wasn't, it was just
Yeah.
it was interesting to see it too. Because first of all, I was like,
Yeah.
but you like jumping. So I was slightly confused because I've seen her do all these weird jumps in airplanes. And then for her to be
Yeah.
like, I'm afraid of heights. I'm like, but you just jumped out of a plane. Either way, I think he handled it very poorly. That was like, that was a bad sign. That's a bad sign for the future. The
Even
red
though-
flag.
Definitely. I mean, listen, I think he's just one walking red flag. She was thrilled afterwards to have conquered her fear, to have jumped off of the skywalk, and then they kiss, of course. Then we go on to their dinner.
They go on to dinner, and I was like, I don't know. It was so, by that point, I was like, no for me. He's a no for
Yeah.
me. I was
Yeah.
like, he's a no for me at this point.
Yeah.
I don't like pushy men. That's not my style. They go to dinner, and this is the first time, and I did wonder if your opinion of him changed. He
Mm.
finally opens up, he shares his story. He's another one, Liz, another one that was apparently cheated on. The running theme of being cheated on. He was cheated on by his fiance,
Yeah.
somebody else again. And that's kind of where they connected and they opened up, and he did seem to open up and share part of himself. So I did appreciate that.
To be honest, I thought that was the most authentic he was. Now, what's funny is that he's known for, and even Devin calls him out on always saying, "I just got to make sure I'm being my authentic self."
I'm always gonna keep the main thing, the main thing. Be my true authentic self. Just gotta make sure I'm being my authentic self. Being my authentic self is one of 4 lines that Sam says on a day-to-day basis. Eventually, he's gonna have a real conversation with her. I do hope that he bombs conversation like I think he will. Jen will see the same Sam that I think a lot of people in the house see.
I think this time he actually backed that up with an action. So I think
Yes.
that he was being authentic. I also do believe there's 2 sides to a story. So I don't think maybe it was as cut
Interesting.
and dry of a breakup and a cheating situation as he might have said. Looked as if he was a little glassy-eyed, but as you pointed
He,
out, he does like to drink, so it could have been that he was
well,
just,
stop.
half in the
This
bag.
is
I don't know.
This is
Uh,
the most that I feel like we've actually heard from him, like his actual
yeah.
story. Everything else is like, I'm a fun guy. I like to drink. Da-da-da-da. This is the first time we've actually heard his story. And she connected with it. And of course, immediately, like she hops in his lap and they just start making out again. At first, I was like, are they about to have sex? Is this like an intense,
Yeah.
it was an intense make out right there.
Yeah.
Legit.
They engage in full body makeouts. Like it's no joke. But yeah, I do feel like they did connect on some level because of their shared relationship traumas. Jen admits that she's most afraid of being with a partner who isn't going to work at
Mm,
at a relationship. And he right away sounds as if he's though reading from a script. He's like, "Oh, I'm never going to stop working as long as I'm with the right person." And then he says that the love I want is wild and passionate, and that he knows exactly what she means by a ferocious love.
You use those words, ferocious love, and I know exactly what that means.
That sounds then just scripted. So I felt like that moment of authenticity was
I
fleeting.
know.
Then the date ends and Jen gives Sam M a rose. I think he's got the potential to quote unquote go there and be deep, but I don't think it's going to happen during the course of the show.
I know when he said that I was like that was too much. But when she was in tears once again,
Yeah.
saying that she wasn't sure she's worthy of true love,
Yeah.
and then he says to her like you are worthy and etc. I thought that was very sweet. But it's a mixed bag date for me.
Yeah.
I feel like at the end of the day she'll probably be like this was amazing because he was there for me. But I'm like he was a douchebag for like half this date. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I
she's a
don't
real
know.
sweetheart. And because, like you
I
mentioned,
know.
because of how she's been done wrong so many times in the past, by not just men she dated, but by her dad, any type of morsel of kindness,
I know.
she just gobbles up and it's the best thing ever. So she's a very vulnerable person, which concerns me about her even
Yes.
being on the show, to be honest.
I'm
So
so
yeah,
nervous for her because she seems like a good person. She seems
she
very
does.
sweet and full of life, but just really has really bad taste in men. Like I was just like you have really bad taste in men.
Yeah, yeah, she really does. I
I don't
really do
know.
like her. I really do. And I don't say that
Yeah.
about many people.
That's true. I know that to be true. Let's shift from there and we move on to okay. We move on to the group date.
Yes,
The rugby match, whatever it was. And I
yes.
gotta be honest with you, I had to just fast forward this because there was just too much of the love virgin for me. It was just like love virgin, love virgin, love virgin. I'm like, guys, we get it. Get rid of him.
Screw the group. I'm my own group. Craziness is coming out.
It was just too much for me.
Listen,
Too much. I really strongly dislike him. I
okay,
strongly.
here's the thing. I don't like him, but he by far was the most entertaining thing about this
I
episode.
don't know what is going on with you this season. I disagree with you. You like Devin, you like the Love Virgin now.
Oh,
I totally disagree.
I only enjoy him for his entertainment purposes because as far as I'm concerned, he is playing a role. He was hired to play a role. None of this seems real. I believe everything he said and did from the rugby match on was all part of this diabolical plan with the producers because
Totally scripted. That was
Totally.
all scripted. The whole
Totally.
like, what was it? Jen's husband on his back or whatever that said.
I want to show Jen I'm willing to break a leg. So I'm gonna win this game. I'm coming for that group date, bro. I'm here for you, Jen. Let's go! I have this bad bitch energy right now. I'm the most confident guy in this field, most confident guy in the world. You know why? I'm Jen's husband, baby. Hey, Jen!
Look, Salmon pointing out the name on the back of his jersey. It says Jen's husband.
Manifestation, baby!
I was like, you know what? This guy is so scripted and obvious. Why didn't they keep, what was his name? Was his name Hakeem? They should have kept Hakeem because he was, his eyes like could win an Emmy. It's just like he had so many expressions and this naturally. From this guy, I just felt it. I was like, they're just on the side, just writing. Here's the next note and the next note. I couldn't stand it.
It was totally forced. Everything was forced with him. It begins, so they're all training for this rugby match that they end up calling the Bachelorette Rugby Royale. I don't know why it needed to even get a name. And Sam N, like you keep getting these, he's talking one-on-one with the camera and you hear his voiceover that, he doesn't care about the group. All of a sudden, he doesn't care about the group. He's his own group. He starts saying things like the craziness is coming out, which, it did. He starts yelling that he's coming for the group date Rose. He's coming for Jen. He's aggressive on the field. I mean, he sounds like he's literally losing his shit. Like something is not right.
I thought the producers did a terrible job producing this moment. It was too over the top.
It was.
And I didn't believe him. I didn't buy it. And I was like, to the point where I fast forwarded it because I'm like, this is a waste of my time.
I felt so bad for Jen. He kept pretending to tackle her on the rugby field. And he looked like he was even having difficulty like lifting her up. She's this little thing. She's laughing and playing along, but she probably just wanted to be left. At the end of the game, he carries her off the field. This guy is too much.
I don't even remember who won, but what I didn't like is that they go back to the group date.
Yeah.
I don't know, bar night, drink night, whatever it's called.
Oh my God.
And I guess like he puts the trophy down on the couch so that no one could sit.
Yeah.
To the point where Marcus, of all people, Marcus said something where he's like, you got to watch yourself, bro. Like Marcus. I was like, if Marcus is telling you something, you did it wrong.
Freaking Sam. What the hell is happening?
I was like, it was so irritating to me. So irritating.
It was unnecessary. It was totally unnecessary. I was like, oh, this whole thing was not only like scripted, it was choreographed that he was going to walk ahead of the group and then how he was going to place his trophy on the seat next to him.
It was.
Can we talk about how he was dressed as John Travolta playing Danny Zuko in movie musical Grease? The fact that he was dressed with this leather jacket with a white undershirt. I was like, where is this guy going? What's he doing? At this point, Jonathan, who I still like, I love Jonathan.
Love Jonathan.
Yeah, I love Jonathan for me.
Yeah.
And, or for us. Maybe he's into a polyamory situation.
Yes, I'd like that.
So he starts getting very vocal that, basically everyone's pissed off with Sam N.
Trophy in his hand, like he was the sole provider of the win today, and acting like he's the
He's not playing nice with the group. He's basically has said, like at what point he says, I'm disassociating from the group. Like he's gone full sociopath at this point.
I know. It was just such a waste of time because they knew it was a waste of time. The guys who were actually there for love, we as the viewers knew it was a waste of time.
Yeah.
It was a waste, but what they finally get back to this group date back at the bar situation. What I liked is the Jonathan date with Jen. It was so cute. They were playing lacrosse together. I think she actually likes him. I thought he was adorable. Playing lacrosse with her. It was so cute.
I agree 1,000%. You see, we could still agree on something. I agree 1,000%. I thought lacrosse, because apparently they both played it in college. So I was like, oh, that's a nice way to bond and connect. Okay, the number two sexiest thing that happened was while they were playing lacrosse, he just paused briefly. He's like, "How was your day? How was your day?"
I know,
Like
I
so
know. Like he's like
casual, but like he really cared.
just checking in, just checking in. I was like, Jonathan, dude. He's almost, I don't know
Mm.
if he's my number one. He might be my number one. She then goes on to have a date with Marcus. And this guy is so sweet.
Yeah,
Also sounds like he holds a lot of emotion in. It
yeah,
was like she was trying to be playful and be like, "Oh, you hurt yourself, let me check you." And he was like, he was very serious about it. Like he was basically said he doesn't want to seem weak. He's really like he seemed very emotional. He said, I don't want to seem weak.
yeah.
I'm almost afraid to let someone else carry my burden. And I was like, this guy is just so beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I agree. And what I thought was interesting is he mentioned that when he was recovering from the grenade
Right.
accident that he had had as an army ranger, he mentioned that he had to come back from that on his own. There's a deeper story here.
There's a story there.
And I thought it was super touching
Hmm.
because Jen says, I can help carry. I
Carry
can
the
help carry.
berry. Yeah.
And I thought that was just a simple but yet deeply supportive statement that says so much.
I
Um,
know. It
yeah,
was so
wasn't that a great
I
line? Yeah,
I almost wanted to cry. Like she said I could help carry. They hugged. Like he didn't even go in for a kiss. They just did a
yeah,
hug. And I was
yeah,
like, this is such and it was like it was a long emotional hug. And I felt that hug. And I'm like, what a sweet moment.
yeah,
It was an actual real unscripted moment, in my opinion,
yeah.
on The Bachelorette. Yeah.
I agree, but it did come off to me as if I think just friend vibes between them. Do you know what I'm saying?
It
Like
might just be a friend. I know.
yeah, I
I
feel,
know.
yeah, I know, right? I would love to see them together.
You'll be jumping out of the plane from 15,000 feet.
You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be
Such a
okay.
bad side of me right now.
Yeah, you can be brave.
And Marcus gets the group date rose.
Marcus did get the group date rose. I thought it was sweet because she gave him the rose. Thomas was very supportive because he's just like, he's a great dude.
Yeah,
And what I thought was just so nice is that Marcus actually starts crying over it because he was seen by her. And I'm like, this man is so emotional, so
yeah.
sweet. I really like Marcus. He's a
I
good
do
guy.
too.
I will say, speaking of friend vibes, at some point, Thomas, who I enjoy, my Colin Farrell, sits down with Jen. That was like the most friends vibe I've ever gotten. Like he was telling some
Yeah.
story. She's just like, yeah, yeah, I'm thinking these people are never gonna date. This is purely a friendship. If that, she has no interest. It was just like immediately I felt it like that's not gonna work out. It's not meant to be.
I got the impression that he had been talking about himself for a long time before the camera decided to show us they were together because she looked as if she was kind of like glazing over a little bit. But he
Yeah.
was revealing some interesting information that I guess I think his mom, or I don't know, it must be his mom, is part Irish, part Italian, it sounded like. So
Yeah,
we talking about some interesting stuff. I was like, okay, this is interesting learning about his background.
yeah,
And
it was interesting.
then,
Of course, at that point, Sam comes in is like, I gotta interrupt you. Because this is like with Devin. It's like the producers have certain people that they're having come in and be the annoying
yeah,
character, in my opinion. I gotta interrupt you. And then Thomas is like, give me 5 minutes. I can't wait 5 minutes. I gotta do it now.
yeah,
And then I think Jen sat in that moment for a second thinking, like, how should I handle this dude? She was like, all
yeah.
right, I'll talk to you later, Thomas.
Hey.
Can I have a moment with you? Can you give me like 5 minutes? Oh man, I'm sorry. Do you mind if I have a moment with you?
Okay.
Sam sits, he says whatever bullshit he has to say. And what I loved about her, he's like, can I kiss you?
I really want to take our relationship to the next step. So Jen, can I kiss you?
Never
Oh,
asked for a kiss, first of all, never asked for it. He said, can I kiss you? She's like, I think you're really sweet. Like immediately I was like, oh my God, thank God.
Um,
Thank God. Because I was like, where is this gonna go?
yeah.
She shut it down. And I thought that was great.
She did. She did it very kindly. I'll be honest. he looked so desperate and sweaty in the moment that he asked for a kiss. I really question if he was on something, if he was on
Oh,
some kind of like drug or
stop.
something, because he seemed, honestly, he also gave like a creepy little smile after he asked. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
stay away from
it's
him.
uncomfortable.
Can I kiss you?
Jen's really great at being kind to everyone. And again, makes her
Yes.
vulnerable to people who have
Yes, I agree.
nefarious intentions. But, she said, I really, you've been brave by, being so forthright with your feelings and all that. And I don't want to lead you on. So I'm going to have to let you
Yeah.
go. You're
So
gonna,
get out. So
yeah.
I'm gonna walk into the limo. And I was like, finally.
Yeah.
He exits. I'm like, thank God.
Me
Something
too.
happens in
Yeah.
the limo. I don't care. He doesn't matter. He's not important. He leaves. And at that point, I was like, does that mean we don't get an elimination tonight? Because she's kicking him out, and apparently so. That's the case. It's
Right.
great.
Although it seems like episode 5 is going to be a continuation of that night with, I think, an actual rose ceremony.
So at this point, we finally get to a Devin date. I figured this would make you very happy. Devin seemed very nervous but excited for this date. And are they just going to watch a tribal thing? I didn't quite understand what the date was. What was the date?
So the indigenous peoples of New Zealand are called the Maori. Devin and Jen were going to this place where they celebrate their culture, and it was supposed to
Ah,
be like a ceremonial greeting.
dance
Yeah,
thing.
the dances, and it's kind of like welcoming them in, like, come see what we're about and we'll see what you're about. So basically, mutual understanding and respect. So it was more like a cultural experience. Yeah.
I got it. They both seem to enjoy it. It was they both seem to have a lot of fun and also get a lot out of it. We did see them kiss it, I think, at some point, and then we went on to their actual like separate date.
Mhm.
And that's where we kind of got into more of Devin's story about how his
Yeah.
mom got pregnant, I think when she was in college, I believe I want to say, because she had to drop
Yeah.
out of college.
Yeah.
And like his dad wasn't really around too much. We really got a lot into his background. But to me, the most interesting was hearing about Jen's background with her father. What'd you think about that?
It was really hard for me to listen to that
Yeah,
whole story because it's really sad, and it makes me feel concerned for her well-being,
I know, I
because
know.
I feel like if she gets into another relationship that doesn't work, she's really gonna be in a bad way. I hope that she's gone to therapy or is currently in therapy for dealing
Yes.
with the relationship or the estrangement between her and her dad. I was really impressed that she shared all that. She must really feel comfortable with Devin to
Yeah.
really, because she's mentioned it to some of the other guys about just not having a good relationship with the father or not really having one. And but with Devin, she really did open up and shared quite a bit. So I think that was a
Yeah.
testament to how comfortable she feels with him, and he had a lot of relatable situations in his own, background.
I think so. I think they really kind of related on that background of not having their father in the picture.
Yeah.
And that really explained a lot to me why Jen probably dated some of the men that she did in her past, because she was missing that father
Oh,
figure.
definitely.
And then what happened was that Devin admitted that he was falling for her, and what she said, and it kind of broke my heart, because this is a beautiful woman. She's a
Yeah.
beautiful woman, let's be
Yeah.
honest. And
Yeah.
great personality, good job. She said, that's the first time someone's ever said that to me. Something along those lines. I'm like, really?
Seriously. Devin told me he's falling for me, and I don't know if anyone's ever said that to me before, and he was the first, and I've never felt appreciated in the way that Devin makes me feel. It's a new feeling.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. It was very surprising to hear.
I was too, because she's been in relationships, and as we learn later on, one of the
Yes.
relationships with Matt, they seem to have been in love. So I'm wondering, was it just situations where they would say, "Oh, I love you," but they didn't
Uh,
recognize the moment that they were falling? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so, because I
yeah.
mean, to be honest, I don't know how many people recognize that moment. Say, "Oh, I'm falling for you." I think they just tell you when they're full on in love with you.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
That's true. Maybe
so
that's it. 'Cause I was
yeah.
surprised. I was like, really?
Because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, wait a second. But yeah, I think that's what, and because being in this process, like, that's that's a big deal, a big step in the show when you
Yeah.
say, well, I'm falling for you. Like, whereas I don't think most people in real life necessarily say that. They're just like,
That's
hey, by
true.
the way, I'm in love with you.
Yeah, I think
You
I
know?
might love you today.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute. It did make me like Devin more.
Yeah.
I One-on-one, Devin isn't as annoying as he is with other people. I'm not sure how they'd work in the real world with other people around, but one-on-one, I think he was sweet. But let's get to the juice of the episode. Let's get to
Yes.
the moment that was super surprising where Jesse comes on the screen like, we just got this random call out of the blue about this. I'm thinking, really? Out of the blue, this guy says I need to talk to Jenn, and he knew where you were, and he flew himself out on his own dime. Don't believe that for a second. How did he know you were there? How did he know you were in New
Yeah.
Zealand? Very strange. He just wanted to come talk to her. Let's talk to him and see why he's here. Like, come on, Jesse.
It's like you guys already had a pre-interview with this guy, so don't give us that. What I thought was interesting is to make it seem really credible that the producers has nothing to do with it. They're like, he
Yeah.
came out on his own dime, on his own dime. Like, I think it was mentioned twice. And I'm like, okay, that's very possible that this man
Yeah.
paid for it. But I thought the same thing. But how does he know where Jen is? What hotel? Like,
Yes.
everyone was
Yes.
colluding with this guy, as far as I'm concerned. They all knew what he was coming there for.
Yes, because that's irresponsible to let some random guy say, I'm here to see this woman, because he could be a crazy person. So obviously you did the research.
Yes.
Either way, he shows up, luggage in hand, looking around, looking shocked. Which is just cracked me up. His
Oh.
expressions. This boy, Matt, his expressions are cracking me up because
Yeah.
as I said before, he really seemed surprised to be there. And that was just really just cracking me up so much. I'm like, the producers just randomly found this guy who
Yeah.
maybe knew her and they had a few one-night stands, and now he's on the show.
There's so many questions I have because timeline wise, okay, they dated 3 years ago. So
Yes.
she was on The Bachelor with Jen was on The Bachelor with Joey. Maybe they filmed that last year. Okay.
Yeah.
But then he mentioned, oh, yeah, we reconnected in recent months and we were talking as friends. And I think it turned into more. And she's like, oh, really?
My ex-boyfriend. For him to come here, I think it's just a big shock. We'd recently reconnected in the past few months as friends, or so I thought, as friends. Like, I'm so confused.
I still feel like the producers reached
Yes.
into her past and they're like, oh, you've
Yes.
been talking to someone? Let's see. There's no way that this went down the way
agree.
they said. That this guy, because he did look confused. He almost looked like, yeah, I'm here to try to tell you how I really feel. And it's like, she's like, well, why didn't you ever tell me before?
I feel like this is coming out of nowhere.
I mean, you don't feel like the last, say, few months have felt different to you? I feel like we've been able to connect on a deeper kind of level, and that you are one of the most important people in my life. You know me more than anyone else in the world, and I'm not ready to let it all go.
You know, you could have said this before I left.
It was like he paid his own way because he actually was going to New Zealand for vacation. And they're like, oh, you should come over. Like, that's,
Well,
I
what
don't know
was
if
the whole
that's
thing
true.
that he was going to Colombia? I didn't understand.
It
He's
was
like,
the
oh,
whole
I'm going to
thing. He's like,
Colombia,
I was supposed to
weddings.
go to 2 weddings. At some point he goes to see Jenn.
Yeah.
She's shocked. She doesn't know what he's doing there. She's like, why are you here? We're like, why is he here? It sounds like they were together 3 years ago, but they've kind of had like a friends with benefit situation. That's what I took up from it.
Oh, is
Like,
that
when
why
they're
you
not in a
took it?
relationship, they would just sleep together. I took it as that way. They'd see each other on and off.
Interesting.
And she was very quick to say that he was not the toxic ex. Because at first I'm like, is this the guy?
That's what I
I'm like,
thought
why
too.
why are the producers doing this? Like,
Matt is not the toxic ex I'm referring to. He is not the one who messed me up a little bit. That's a different ex.
he's not the toxic ex, but he basically said to her out of the blue, you're one of the most important people in my life, and I love you. And she was like, why didn't you say this to me before I got into this show? Which is a good point.
Yeah.
Very suspicious. Very suspicious.
You know, you could have said this before I left.
I did say it, but I didn't say it as grandly as this, I guess.
I'll be honest, I almost felt like, based on Jen's reactions to everything Matt was saying, I felt like Matt was gaslighting her. When she said, "Why didn't you tell me?" He said, "Well, I did, but just not in grand, not
Oh
in this
yeah,
grand gesture." And I'm like, "No, dude,
that's
I think you're
interesting.
just like, I think you're gaslighting her." I'm annoyed at the production and the
Yes,
producers for ambushing her, because I really don't think her surprise seemed genuine. I do not think she
yes.
realized that this guy was going to come out of her past. And they had all that ominous music as he's walking up to her. And I was like, oh, I'm getting nervous for her. How is she?
And he's not even the toxic ex, it's just some random guy.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's something where they watched how the season was progressing and they're like,
Yeah.
we need some drama. So they just found it. But either way, she's
Mhm.
unsure what to do. And I think it more or less ends the episode that way.
It does. It ends the episode where Jen's like, okay, I need a minute. And she, looks off into the clear waters of Auckland, New Zealand, and basically is like, I have a difficult decision to make because, after all, and she brings up a good point, I was with this guy for years. And she's like, these
Yeah.
other guys I've only known for a few weeks, which I thought was interesting because it almost felt like she was casting them aside. She's like, yeah, I've only known them a few weeks. Oh, yeah, but you've got a
Yeah.
lot of deep emotion, which she did acknowledge. I have
Yeah.
feelings. But it was funny because now she's like, well, I did know the other guy for longer. And I was like, Jesus, like, is this how this show is going to end? So they show teasers, which lead us to believe that Matt then shows up to the rose ceremony, or at least the cocktail party.
Yes, he is
Or,
wearing a
yeah,
suit. Yes, he is. He does have a change of clothes on, so he
does.
goes someplace.
Yes.
I'm very curious to see what's gonna happen. I don't know. Usually in these situations, they usually get rid of the person because it's like you've had your chance.
Yeah,
So
he's not going to stay.
whatever.
The question is,
He's not
does
gonna
he
stay.
last beyond week 5? Does she say at the end of the rose ceremony, no, I want nothing to do with you? Or do they keep him around to
Hmm,
create tension between her and the
that
other
could be
guys?
it. That could be it. But I'm not happy with the direction it's going.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm hoping they don't drag out this Matt thing for long and she gets rid of him right away. Well, that's all we got for you. Tune into Romance Recap next week, and remember, if it ain't ferocious, then it ain't true love.